What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning into this episode of English Turks, where I review your favorite Turkish series with and without English subtitles. And guys, I'm super excited because I got to watch the first episode for season 2 of Adim Farah, and we are going to talk about it today. They're labeling it season 2, but the episode is episode 15, so we're continually going up. Okay, so we did get a lot of stuff from the fragment, but there's a lot of things that happen in this episode, and we definitely are going to have to walk through it together. So if you are ready for this ride, don't forget to click that subscribe button. Also, click that share button and share it with somebody that you know. And if you like it, click that like button. And let's get right into it, okay? So we start off the episode where Farah is getting ready and Tahir is getting ready, and they're making their way to the courthouse. Now, it looks like Tahir hasn't seen Farah for almost a year. He hasn't seen her for almost a year, and he's come to the courthouse. She's in the courtroom. He's looking at her, and basically, she asks the judge for a divorce. And Tahir is like, what is going on? I know he has threatened you. Tell me. I came here just to see you. You never came to see me. You never came to visit me or anything. You didn't even like talk to me through other people like but the lawyer. Like she hasn't done anything, and he's like trying to figure out like what's going on, but she gives him a straight face. She's like, I want the divorce. And then they start walking us through like how did they get to this point, because so far it's been like he said like 300 and something days, so it's been like basically almost a year. And they fast forward back, as you know, Tahir and Mehmet decided to work together to bring down the Aga, and they don't know that Mehmet's dad works with the Aga. They don't know that. So they basically have caught him in the act, and they're trying to catch his dad, Mehmet's dad, but I don't know if they actually caught him at this point. So they do a flashback to Tahir talking to the Aga, telling him like, we're done. I worked with Mehmet and we've caught you red-handed. They're coming for you. You're gonna need to run. And he's like, I want you to kill me because I don't want to be disgraced. He wants to die as a boss. But he's like, no, like this is your payback. You're just gonna have to go and run, but they're gonna catch you. So he's thinking everything is done, like he is set in stone and everything. Meanwhile, Karim Shah's dad, he's at the house. Farah sees him. Farah is like trying to negotiate with him, like, punish me, do whatever you want with me, but leave Karim Shah because he's sick. Because in her mind, I'm guessing she's thinking, I'll sacrifice myself and then Tahir could take care of Karim Shah. But then, as we all know, like the Aga had told Karim Shah's dad, like, you potentially have a son and this is probably your son. Karim Shah is your son. So he basically is pissed off because he's like, how could you sleep with another man? How could you be with another man? Farah tries to convince him that she doesn't sleep in the room, like she has nothing to do. She was forced into this marriage and everything. He finds her lingerie in the room, so he knows that she's lying. But he says like, hey, let's gather. You need to gather your kid, and we need to go. And then if we go back to Tahir, and he finds Mehmet on the floor, blood everywhere, and he has no idea what's going on, but he is freaking out and decides to carry Mehmet straight to the hospital to save his life. And in the meantime, Farah is getting Kerim Shah ready. She does whatever checkup she needs to do. She comes up with a cool idea to leave like a message for Tahir. Um, and she uses the security cameras to kind of let him know where that message would be. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Tahir runs into Bada and he basically, tells her. I mean, she knows what's going on because Mehmet has told her, but like, he's like, listen, I gotta go. They might try to put this on me. He's like, no, but you were good. And she's like, we gotta come up with a story. We gotta figure it out until, everything is said and done. And so he leaves. He rushes home. He finds his men tied up and he runs into the house. He realizes that they're gone. He checks the security footage because he's like, you know, he knows that, Farah would leave a message. He figures it out, reads the note, and the note says, like, hey, he's not absolutely sure if this is his son, so he's going to use an Iranian doctor to figure out if that's his son. So if you find an Iranian doctor, you might find us. So everyone else is at the hospital dealing with Mehmet, and Farah is gone and Tahir is trying to figure everything out. They go over and we see that Kerim Shah is getting blood drawn from a doctor who is the Iranian doctor in this house. And we see that his dad, or, at this point, he doesn't know if that's his son, but Benam is having Kerim Shah's DNA tested with his DNA to see if they are actual father and son. They show Farah in the bathhouse, and basically, I guess they're doing like a scalding hot bath on her. So they're pouring like hot, steaming, boiling water on her skin and telling her to repent and making her say that she repents, she repents, she repents, she repents. While they're pouring the boiling hot water, they're scrubbing her skin. So this is obviously like her punishment for, I guess, disappearing from him. And Tahir, Bada tells Tahir, like, she found this address. This has got to be the address that Benam has here. And so you can go over there, or that's his family or something. So Tahir does end up going there. We run into this girl. I feel like she's going to play an important role. They are related to Benam, but they're living in his house. And so he threatens them. He decides to kidnap the girl, to take the girl as hostage so that Benam could so that he could find Farah and Kerim Shah. Well, he does get a chance to speak to Benham, and he's like, I'm not telling you anything, whatever, who cares? So he leaves it up to the diplomat relative of Benham to find out where he is for real so that he could save his own daughter. Now, the Aga finds out through his wife that Mehmet has been shot and he's not awake, and so he uses that opportunity to say that Tahir was the one that shot Mehmet, even though we all know that's not true. But they twisted the story to kind of save, he wanted to save himself. And so he realizes, like, oh, okay, great, like, because he didn't know that Mehmet was shot. And so he calls Benham and actually thanks him because he's like, you saved me. And Benham's like, well, thank you for letting me know that I had a son. So basically, it is the Aga's fault. Technically, it is also Tahir's fault. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, Benham is really there because a random man from well, not Turkey, but like, yeah, from Turkey, from Istanbul, is looking for him, questioning him, and they realize that this man is married to, like, it's, if he had just listened to Farah in the first place, they would have never been in that situation. At least they would have had a chance to get to France, but of course that didn't happen. Benham is really going through a conflict within himself. He knows that Farah doesn't want him. He knows that his mother can't stand Farah. And, his mother's like, you're a lion. You're like so big. Why are you bringing yourself down to this woman? Obviously, in the past, Farah had to have done something that would have killed him. And that's the reason why his mother does not like her. But Benham is a territorial guy. You could tell he's a narcissist. You could tell he's very territorial. And basically, in his mind, it's like this other man, Tahir, who's considered strong and all this stuff, especially once he finds out that Kerim Shah is his son, and Kerim Shah keeps asking for Tahir and saying, could you get Tahir for me? Where's Tahir? And where's my mom? And all this stuff. He's pissed because he's like, yo, this is supposed to be my family. Remember, he loved Farah. He wanted Farah, but Farah eventually, after realizing that he's abusive and all that, decided to run away. And so he's like, how's this man gonna take my family? Which is the perfect buildup for a nemesis. Perfect buildup for a nemesis. Now, meanwhile, Farah is like fighting for her life because once Benham realizes that Kerim Shah is his son, he decides to tell Kerim Shah, which I think, despite him being a horrible, evil man, he did it in a good way. And I also think that script writing, he should be very thankful because Farah didn't lie to Kerim Shah about who his dad was. You know, I mean, based on what he's telling Kerim Shah, I don't know if the story's true, that, the Navy officer, was in the sea and all this stuff. And he basically says, hey, that story's about me. And you have two sisters and all of that. So I thought that that was he did it in a good way, despite being, I guess, I mean, that's the first step to showing that he loved his son, is telling him the story in that way. Meanwhile, Tahir, who's thinking like he's good and dandy, gets arrested in the street, gets arrested. But before he gets arrested, he's driving on the road. And I'm going to lead you to this point about where he gets arrested. Benham decides he's going to leave with Kerim Shah and just leave Farah in the house where they were doing all this testing. He's going to leave with Kerim Shah. And so when he was leaving, he told one of the ladies, like, we're leaving Farah, we're just taking the little boy. So she comes in the room and she tells Farah, like, you're not going to see your son ever again. And so Farah's like begging her, call the police, do something. But the girl's like, yo, they're going to kill me if I do that. So instead, what they end up doing is she's like, come on, do something. Let me use your phone for a second. So, at least give me a chance. Let me decide my own destiny. If they find out I have the phone, let them kill me or whatever. So she ends up giving Farah her phone right before they're set to leave. And then they up and they leave, right? So Farah uses that opportunity with the phone to call Tahir. And Tahir is driving and he's in a car driving. And, she calls and she's like, I don't know where I am. He's like, send me your location and I'm going to come and get you. And so she does. She sends the location. He's like, I'm going to be there in 5 minutes. Don't worry. I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. He gets stopped by police. There's a police blockade in the street, and it's Ilkaz, and they come and arrest Tahir. If you can remember, Ilkaz is part of the bad group of people, right? And so for Ilkaz, it seemed in the first season it looked like he had maybe a little bit of good in him, but because like he has so much potential to go to jail, he really has no options. So in that way he has to be selfish to protect himself from going to jail. So he's still doing the bidding of the lambs, I would say. So he arrested here on suspicion of hurting Mehmet. And since Mehmet is out of it, he can't say that, no, we were working together and all that stuff. So then he tells him, like, Tahir tells Ilkaz, like, hey, Farah's on the phone. Help her, please help her. She needs help. And Ilkaz decides not to do that. He decides to just ignore it, which is odd that all those cops there heard Tahir yelling that and no one said anything or did anything. Everybody just followed what Ilkaz said. And what Ilkaz did, which they just ignored it, and so she realizes something has happened to Tahir, so she has to think about what she's going to do, and so she decides to call Bade. Bade is at the hospital, and Aga has found out about Mehmet's condition, so he's walking scot free. He's thinking everything is fine, and he goes and he tells um, Mehmet's sister like a whole bunch of lies that Tahir's the one that shot Mehmet and all this stuff. But Bade knows the truth, and she exposed herself by telling the Aga, like, I know the truth, stop lying, we know what you did. And so basically, it's now in Aga's best interest to get rid of Bade. It's in his best interest. So Behnam and Kerim Shah have left the house. They're gone. They're driving. They've gone away. Bade has taken Gonu, but Mehmet's sister, and taking her like away from the situation. And as she's walking away, they realize they get the call from Farah, and they go to try to rescue Farah. Right? That's their next step. They go and try to rescue. They're doing a bit of flashing forth and back between the present and the past. So they go back to the present. They show that, Farah's just walking out, no, like not even paying any attention to all the screaming that Tahir is doing. And then Tahir sees her approach Behnam, so he's like pissed. And he is leaving the courthouse. But he's already arranged with his guys to help him escape. So they plan this like car accident where he's able to escape. They give him like some passports, and they're basically going to go on a mission to save Farah. Mehmet is also still in the coma because he ended up in a coma, and basically it's Bade keeping him alive. He ends up finding out where Farah is, and he goes to the house. He finds Farah in the kitchen, and he's like, I've come for you. Let's go. I'm going to save you. I'm sorry I haven't been there. You know it's all a lie and everything like that. And Farah, with a straight face, is like, no, I really want nothing to do with you. I want you to leave, everything like that. And then they walk outside because he hears Kerim Shah, so he walks outside and he sees Kerim Shah playing outside without his astronaut suit on. And he's basically having like this heartfelt moment of realizing like, oh my gosh, Kerim Shah must be cured. And Farah explains to him like, listen, it was Behnam. Behnam did all of this for him. And because of the medication he's taking, it's safe for him to be outside. Like he hasn't had the life-changing surgery, but the medication that they were able to give him has made it safe enough for him not to have to wear the astronaut suit while he's outside. He sees Behnam playing with Kerim Shah. They're having like this great old fun time. And basically Farah's like, I I'm serious. Like, I want to be with him. I want to divorce you so I could be with him. Like, don't come back here anymore. This is my new life. He's and basically trying to use the fact that the way Kerim Shah is now, like he's getting better, that she's like forever grateful to Behnam, and Benham's his real dad and all this stuff. And honestly, Tahir is in a hard place because he's like, do I believe you? Don't I believe you? But then he hears the police sirens and she's like, yeah, I called the cops. I tried to give you a chance to leave. You didn't take that chance. So here are the cops. So basically, Behnam is trying to get Tahir to believe that, listen, Demet doesn't want you anymore. But we realized soon enough that this is not the case because he has Farah locked up in the room. Because I'll take you to how we got there, okay? While they were driving away, Kerim Shah and Behnam, they left Farah in the house. She's tied up. While they were driving away, Kerim Shah starts to faint. Like, I don't know if he was really fainting or if he figured out, like, man, if I pretend like I'm completely out of it, they might bring me back to my mom. I don't know. Because I feel like he's smart enough to do that, but I don't know if he actually did that. So because he's fainting, Benham decides like, hey, turn this car around. We got to get back to the house. We got to get back to his mother, who is a doctor who's been taking care of him all his life, to help him. Now, Bade did end up finding Farah. She found Farah. They ended up untying her, helping her. They go downstairs. They open the door to leave, and who's there but the Aga? The Aga is standing right there. He comes inside. He starts attacking right away, trying to figure out like how Bada knew all the stuff that she knew and all this stuff. And she's like, I know even more than you think I know. So basically, he's trying to kill Bada. Farah is so weak from all of this like torture that she received that she really couldn't do much to help Bade. And so then eventually Golnul comes out of nowhere, hits the Aga in the back of the head with something. He ends up falling on a glass table and there's a shard of glass in his like chest. And so he gets up. We think, like he gets up, he walks into the living room, he faints, like he falls again. But because he knows that Farah's such a good person, he's assuming like Farah's gonna help him. Farah's like, call 911 and let's get this, like, let's do what we have to do. But then the Aga makes a huge mistake and he tells Farah that he's the one that told Benon that he has a son. He's the one that told. And he's like, how do you feel now that you know what I've done and you still have to save me because it's part of what you're supposed to be? And so Farah, pissed as hell, like she's so mad. She just decides to take out the shard of glass, which was holding the blood in, and letting him bleed out on the floor. And he's like, help me, going to call the cops, da 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 da, while he ends up dying on the floor. One good thing about that scene is that Golnul doesn't have to live with the idea that she killed someone. It would be Farah that has to live with that because Farah's the one that made that decision. And they're like, the world would be better off without him. Now, here's the gap that I told you guys was missing. How they ended up in the situation they are in now. We know that Benam made his way back to the house, but Gonil and Bade were there. Gonil and Bade were there. So I'm a little confused as to how Bade is perfectly fine. She's with Mehmet. They're in the house. She's taking care of Mehmet. Meanwhile, Farah is being held like a dog. I'm pretty sure that Farah told them that they could leave her, and she ends up staying with Benam for Kenny. So there's a lot to unpack there. But, um, you know, Tahir ends up going to jail, which I think Tahir realizes he doesn't give up. Farah said he doesn't give up. So I think there's a part of him that's like, I still don't believe what she's telling me. But he does end up going back to prison. And then we end the episode with Bade with Mehmet. Mehmet's on the bed. She's sitting in the chair, and Mehmet moves his finger. So obviously he's coming back. He's coming to you. And that's what's going to be in the next episode, episode 16. So this is going to be super exciting to see how we move forward from here because obviously Mehmet is going to wake up. The Aga is gone. I don't know how they ended up killing off Mehmet's dad, and because like even the Aga had a full conversation with Mehmet's dad, but you never heard his voice or saw him or anything. But we all know that he left the show. So I don't know how they're gonna like officially close the fact. Maybe they're just gonna say they're on the run, like he's on the run and never coming back or whatever. And then we still have Gonu's story that we haven't even unpacked yet. That's gotta come back. We still gotta figure it out because I'm pretty sure that Tahir is not gonna stay in jail. Once Mehmet gets up, like Tahir's out of jail, and then we have all those other stories to unpack. But this was a super fun and exciting episode, a great way to bring us back in to the storyline. It took a minute for me to remember a few things, but it was a great way to get back into the storyline. Let me know what you guys think about this new season. What do you think about all that has taken place in this episode? leave a comment down below. Don't forget to click that like button, click that share button, and definitely subscribe to the channel because we are here to have a lot of fun and talk about Turkish disease. All right, until next time, bye.